Hello, welcome to the Bodecia Book Club. This month we have Dark Crimes, Sharp Minds, and One Final Vow. Join the Bodecia Book Club as we unravel M.W. Craven's latest masterpiece. This month's blog sees us reading The Final Vow by M.W. Craven. So, M.W. Craven, Mike, is a British crime writer best known for the Washington Post series. Before becoming a full-time novelist, he worked for many years in probation and criminology. He included dealing with high-risk offenders, experience that strongly shapes the psychological realism and moral complexity of his fiction. Craven's breakout success came with The Puppet Show, which introduced the Washington Poe series and earned major crime fiction awards, helping establish him as a leading voice in contemporary British crime writing. His novels often challenge genre expectations by shifting focus from who did it to why people let it happen. Now, this podcast is a little bit different to what we were planning when we said we were going to do a Bodecia Pod. We did meet for book group last week. We did record what we talked about the book, but for some reason and technical reasons, did not press record properly, so we lost the 45 minutes of chat. So sorry about that. So this pod is going to be a little bit different, as you're going to hear me talk and summarize what we did talk about at that meeting. Today we're talking about The Final Vow by M.W. Craven, and don't worry, this is completely spoil-free. If you've read any of the Poe and Tilly books before, you'll know that while the crimes are gripping, the real heartbeat of the series is the partnership between Washington Poe and Tilly Bradshaw. And in this book, the relationship feels even more solid and more important. Poe is still very much Poe. He runs on instinct, he trusts his gut, he doesn't mind ruffling feathers, especially if he thinks he's right. Whilst Tilly, on the other hand, is all precision and logic. She sees patterns in data the way other people see colours. Where Poe feels his way forward, Tilly calculates it. What makes this series work so well is that neither of them is sidelined. They don't cancel each other out, they sharpen each other. There's this deep, quiet trust between them, and they know exactly what the other brings to the table. And there's also affection there. Even though it's not over sentimental, it feels earned. In The Final Vow, the bond really anchors the story because thematically, this book is dealing with some big issues. One of the main themes is truth and who gets to shape it. The story explores how easily narratives can be manipulated, how public perception can be steered, and how messy it can be when facts and belief collide. It feels very modern, very relevant, without becoming preachy. There's also a strong thread of loyalty running through it, not blind loyalty, but the kind that's tested. The kind where you choose to stand beside someone because you believe in them. And watching how Poe and Tilly navigate this is one of the most satisfying of the book. And then there's power, institutional power, media influence, and reputation. And the book quietly asks who gets protected, who gets believed, and who pays the price. As always, M.W. Craven, the pacing is tight, the dialogue is sharp, and there's that dry humour that cuts through the darker moments. Even when the subject matter is heavy, the writing never feels weighed down. But honestly, for us, it always comes back to Poe and Tilly. Their partnership isn't flashy, it's not dramatic for the sake of it, but it's built on respect, difference, and trust. And that gives the whole story emotional weight. So if you're reading this one, we'd love to know, did the case grab you the most, or was it the continued growth in their relationship? On a lighter heart, we did talk about if they did make this into a TV show or a film, which I think would be fantastic, who would play Washington Poe. Now, came up with a few names. We were thinking Yorkshire sort of accent, the Cumbrian accent, um, perhaps, 6 foot blonde in the 50s person. But we came up with someone like Luke Evans, Sean Bean, and Gerard Butler. Now I know Gerard Butler is Scottish, but yeah, he could probably do a Yorkshire accent for us. So overall, I think we're going to give the book about an 8 out of 10. We love the book. Some of us said that we didn't think this was the best book of the series, but personally, I like them all. We would definitely recommend this book, whether you like reading crime fiction or not. I think this is well worth a read. Did we enjoy it? Yes, we did. We would definitely recommend. Did we enjoy the end? Yes, the ending was fantastic. We all could agree that it ended really well. Although no spoilers, you're gonna have to read it yourself, but we did like the ending. And also for Washington and Tilly, they will go on to a new venture, which we're really excited to know. But then we sort of thought about similarities between Strike, the books by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. But we do look forward to seeing where they go in the next book, which is called The Killer's Mark. Now, I've been lucky enough to get an audio from Mike Craven about the two characters, Washington and Tilly. We love them, but here's Mike talking about how he came up with them.
Hello, Bodecia Book Club. This is MW Craven. Mike, delighted to be briefly speaking with you. So glad that you're reading the Final Vow for your next meeting. You've asked me a question. Washington Poe feels like such a fully formed character from the start. How did you come up with him? And is Tilly Bradshaw based on a real person, or did she grow entirely out of the story as you were writing? Tilly is based a lot of Tilly is based on my wife. She's not that keen when I tell people that, but the reality is she has a lot of the quirks and mannerisms. Poe is an amalgamation of possibly me, a lot of my previous character, Avison Fluke, but mostly it was someone misheard me say Washington Post. Way back in 2016 this was, and they said, "What's the Washington Poe?" And I immediately knew I had my series character name, but because I had to explain why a Cumbrian is called Washington, his backstory became a lot darker than I had originally envisioned. Sorry, and to counter that, I had to make Tilly a lot lighter, to get the dark and light that kind of works very well with those characters. So he didn't hit the page as he is now. He was a little bit lighter, and Tilly was a little bit darker. But the way his name came about kind of formed him from book one. He's lightened up, obviously, as he's had people in his life, or people have joined his life and his circle of friends that he trusts, and he's opened up and he's become a lot more open with his feelings. And obviously Tilly, she's growing as a character, but she is still the person that most people read the books for. Hope that's what you want. Spoilers for the next book, The Killer's Mark. I don't have any spoilers really, but I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, nice to speak to you. Bye, Mike.